It is now time for What's Hot, where we talk about the stories that have everybody talking.
And we are joined now by Jon Anne Willow from ThirdCoast Digest, plus Jeff Wagner is back. Well, today the Secret Service is having a talk with Ted Nugent over some comments that he made about the president.
If Barack Obama becomes the president in November again, I will either be dead or in jail by this time next year. Why are you laughing? You think that's funny? That's not funny at all. I'm serious as a heart attack.
Well, the rocker went on to rant about the president at a National Rifle Association event. It happened last week. So the question now is Ted Nugent just a loudmouth, or is he really dangerous?
I don't know that he's really dangerous per se, that he really would take a sniper rifle and go to, to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and wait outside. But I think we do have some statutes and standards about what kind of threat is allowed against the presidency of the United States. And I do think that that crossed the line between free speech, and that was inappropriate. He directly threatened to kill the president. Whether he was serious or not, he did it.
Well, what about that do you consider a direct threat to kill the president? That's silly. I mean, Secret Service is going to go out and investigate this. Nothing is going to come of this. There is still room for hyperbole. Now, Ted Nugent is nuts. I mean, there's no question about it.
Yes.
He's coming to the Racine County Fair, and they were trying to pitch him for an interview on my radio show, and I kind of turned it down before this happened because Ted Nugent is nuts. If you've ever interviewed him, you get that idea.
I tried to interview him once, but he just wanted me to go into his trailer with his wife, and so that was my one interview encounter with Ted Nugent.
And all I hear is like cat scratch fever running through the back of my head. I mean,
disgusting.
There's a lot of hyperbole that goes on, on both sides. And quite candidly, I think we'd be much better if a lot of people on both sides dialed it down. I don't see this rising to the level of a threat. You lump it in as hyperbole, but it's Ted Nugent. I go back to my basic premise.
Jeff, as someone who works in talk radio, I mean, you have to appreciate that there are people out there who take crazy people who say crazy things seriously.
Glenn Beck is a perfect example.
Inspired by them.
That's right.
Right.
And so if we all know that Ted Nugent is a cultural figure who's crazy, that's one thing, but where do you draw the line? Because maybe not everybody does know he's crazy, because lots of people legitimately pony up money to see his shows. He's speaking in front of the National Rifle Association. He does do radio. I mean, he has a voice. And I'm not saying he was legitimately threatening to kill the president, but he's taking that to a new level of actual outright violence, and that's not appropriate.
And you worry about the one crazy person out there who may take what he's saying literally.
Right, Ronald Reagan, Jodie Foster. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, coming up next, the controversy after the casting call for this commercial. Ask for actors who, quote, aren't too dark.
Oh, Lord.
Jeff Wagner from News Radio 620 WTMJ. All right, a casting document from a Japanese car company, Acura, has leaked. It shows they sought a nice-looking, friendly-looking, not too dark African-American, in quotes, not too dark African-American to play a car dealer alongside comedian Jerry Seinfeld in that Super Bowl commercial. TMZ got a copy of that document from a black actor who was mad he did not fit the profile. Should casting companies denote something as specific as skin shade when searching for an actor?
Well, we seem to be pretty accepting of the idea of slicing and dicing every demographic possible down to the micrographic, if you will. When we look at marketing messages, we're experienced with. I mean, we're accustomed to consuming them. We don't seem to mind. We look at people on commercials, and if we see ourselves, at least the wisdom goes that that will make us more likely to buy the product. Skin shade, you know what? Whether they would have put it on there or not, the casting director knew what they were looking for, and that was who they were going to cast. So, it smells a little funny, but what is the crime? I guess is the question.
Jeff? Oh.
In casting all the time. I mean, they weren't looking for an Asian guy. They weren't looking for a woman. They weren't looking for a white guy. They weren't looking for a Latino. They were looking for a certain type of African American. And my guess is, like, again, this happens all the time. It was just kind of a ham-handed way to go about this, and they're kind of embarrassed. But this is just the reality, and I think it's probably been going on since they were making TV commercials or movies.
You're right, Jeff, Jon Anne. This is reality, but it's racist. I mean, I'm just thinking about some of the good-looking, dark-skinned black actors that are out there. I wrote down a couple other names: Don Cheadle, Wesley
amazing.
Snipes.
Dennis
I mean,
Haysbert,
there
the
are some
Allstate guy.
good-looking, dark brothers
but Shelley,
out there.
Is it then racist that they were looking for an African American and not a Hispanic or not a white guy?
You know,
I mean,
there's
is that
something.
racist?
There's a term that's used in the black community. It's called color struck, and that is people that prefer light-skinned blacks over dark-skinned blacks. If you're looking for an African American, find an African American. You shouldn't start distinguishing between skin tones, because people are beautiful and come in all different shapes and sizes and colors. And this really smacks of racism to me. I'm sorry, I really can't think of a way to justify this. And the thing is, I think that you were both right in that you said that this is reality, this happens. They made the mistake of actually putting it down on paper, but this is actually what a lot of people think when they're casting for movies, jobs,
Sure.
TV stations, what have you.
Sure.
This is reality, and they put it out there.
I guess the issue, though, is should we be outraged then that they were looking for an African American and not an Hispanic or not an Asian guy or not a white guy? I mean, is that equally outrageous?
Well, it's like saying, you know, we're looking for a blonde woman for the job and make sure that she's honey blonde, or we're looking for a woman for the job but make sure she doesn't weigh more than 150 pounds. It's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable, but actually the hair color analogy is a good one. I mean, when you cast anything, especially when you cast a female role, 99% of the time you know you're looking for, and I say this just from having a background in casting to some extent, you know if you're looking for a brunette. And you look for a brunette because you want a woman that the audience is going to look at and go, I bet she's smart. And that's bad, but when you're looking for that immediate visual identity, it is the way it is because norms and stereotypes are the way they are. And I agree with every point you made, and I agree that Don Cheadle is a beautiful man. But
He's pretty hot.
Oh, he's amazing.
Okay, we're down to 30 seconds left. Let's try and squeeze this last one in here if we can.
Well, let's take a look at this. This video reportedly captures a woman crying during a pat down at a Madison airport. A blogger claims it's sexual assault and part of the war on women. If a passenger opts out of a body scanner, should they be surprised at the physical nature of pat downs?
It's just part of what comes with traveling nowadays in the post 9/11 world. If you don't want to go through that body scanner, you have to be prepared to be patted down. Your choices don't fly.
Yeah, you know what, but I mean, those body scanners are banned lots of places because they are thought to cause cancer. They haven't been sufficiently tested here. Lots of people do things for other reasons, and that's a perfectly legitimate one. I imagine that I know you fly, Jeff. I don't know if you get patted down, but as a woman, I've been patted down pretty dang aggressively a couple times, and I don't like it. And I know their hands have gone where they don't need to go, and I do think it's something that we need to look at.
It's females that always pat you down, right?
It's still aggressive.
Okay, no, but it's females. Okay.
It has to be by law.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
All right, we're taking a break. We'll be right back. Thank you both.